Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans alike, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago, one of the couple, two, three best podcasts around. So sit back, grab yourself a cold one and a Polish sausage, park your keister in the French room, and listen to Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose, as long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we have a familiar face coming back to a name you all know, a team you all know at least. We have the NFL draft right around the corner and holiday weekend heroics from the Chicago Cubs. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. Unfortunately, the season has ended, but do not worry. Do not fret. Another season is just around the corner. So head on over to icehogs.com, get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, and sign up for the season ticket wait list. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, how was your holiday weekend, my friend?
Good. It's part one of two of Easter celebration for me, so off to a good start.
Did you gain at least 10 pounds over the weekend?
Yes, a lot of sweets, and those are going to last through the week. And then I'm going to gain 10 more pounds on Greek Easter this coming Sunday. So yeah, I'm trying to fit in as much exercise as I can in between.
That's the way to do it.
Right on.
The way to do it.
So much lamb cake, jelly beans, chocolate, it's funny. Like the first go around of Easter for me, it's always like, okay, this is where I just enjoy the sweets and the candy. And then when Greek Easter rolls around, it's all about the big meal, all the lamb, all the Greek food. It's kind of like you take everything and you put it into one just big blob of terrible diet eating, but delicious food.
So in between there, though, I mean, you skipped over something, pretty big between Easter 1 and Easter 2. I'm trying to think of what it is. I'm trying to put my finger on it. What could be this week that is pretty big between Easter 1 and Easter 2?
Oh, I think it rhymes with Schmenmame. Something like that.
Something like that. I mean, it's an NFL draft, but we don't have a first round pick. But the Avengers Endgame comes out Thursday. I've already got my tickets for Thursday night and for Friday night.
I got my tickets for Thursday, yep.
Yeah, I'm going 8 o'clock on Thursday night, and somehow I'm going to make it to work on Friday.
Yeah, it's been something I've been waiting for a while, and I just don't know if I'm emotionally prepared yet, though. I will say that.
Yeah, it's funny because somebody at work today was like, "You're going to go see it again on Friday?" And I was like, "Well, it depends on if I'm emotionally ready to see it again on Friday." If I can get all the tears out.
So did you buy a specific seat or did you buy general admission from Fandango? Because that's what I did.
I don't know. My friend bought a big block of tickets for a big group of people for Thursday night. So I don't know. I think it's assigned seats though. But for Friday, I definitely chose seats because it's an AMC theater. So I just buy them on the AMC app and you choose the tickets right there.
Yeah.
But I had to go to 3 different showings on Friday to find one where there was 2 seats together.
Yeah. Because we battled that with a few other places. And then, the York Theater here in Elmhurst is the closest to me. And that's where I got general admission tickets. But, I've done that before for Star Wars at the York. And the lesson is to get there really early before the show starts. So you could get a good seat.
Yeah, I remember when I lived in Pennsylvania. So there's the King of Prussia Mall, which is the second largest mall in America. And they have a really big theater there. And that's where I would go to see movies. And it's a really nice theater, but they didn't do assigned seatings back. I mean, we're going on 10 years ago or so, 8 years ago. But holy crap. There was just like outside my house is like thunder. It shook the house.
Yeah, there's a lot of storms in this area. It was really dark by me, but now the sun is peering through, but I think another wave is on its way. It's Thor.
Is Thor ready to kick Thanos' ass?
Yes, he is.
So yeah, you'd go to see like big blockbuster movies on opening night, and you'd have to get there like 2 hours before the movie because you'd wait in line to get in to get a good seat.
Yeah, we're going to have to do that this Thursday. It's funny, because it's Classic Cinemas. That's who runs York Theater. They just started doing assigned seating, but we bought the tickets on Fandango, so I guess it's going to be general admission for that, I think. So we'll see how that works out, because, like I said, that's where I saw Star Wars episodes 7 and 8. And again, we had to get there really early, and then we finally snagged seats. But, we waited in line, and we did all that, got there early. It might even be crazier for Endgame. I mean, the servers crashed online, because we tried to go to the Cinemark in Melrose, where we usually go, because my one friend lives in Oak Park, River Forest, so we like to meet halfway. It was like an hour wait there. Then it was an hour wait at one of the AMCs. So I finally went to York. I got in within a minute and got 3 tickets.
Nice.
I don't know how I got it, but I got it.
Yeah, my friend got tickets like within 5 minutes after they went on sale. And he's like, so I messaged him like the night before, and I was like, hey, you're getting a big group together, right? And he's like, yeah. So I'm like, put me in. He's like, all right, good. And he's like, I'm only getting X number of tickets over what I know people are coming. He's like, I know more people will come. And he's like, so, we always end up with a waiting list of people. So I was like, good thing you let me know. But he got in like within 5 minutes after the ticket went on sale. And he said that like the ticket server crashed, and then he got back in, got all the tickets. And then he tried to get another one later on. And he said the server was just down for like 40 minutes.
Yeah. That's how crazy it was. That's why, I didn't get in those other theaters. I'm just really surprised I was able to get into AMC York, but I guess a lot of people want to go to the AMCs and the Cinemarks, so, maybe caught a break there. I did get the Star Wars tickets for the last 2 episodes fairly easily at the York. It's still filled up, but it was nice to get those at least, because I'm like, oh shit, I couldn't get into Cinemark. I couldn't get into the AMC. I mean, there's a ton of theaters around, but it's like, if I can't get into these, then where the hell am I going to get in?
Yeah, so I'm going.
I tried 3 AMCs.
Yeah, I'm going to the ArcLight in River North. So I don't like it because it's going to be a pain in my butt to get down there in traffic, but it's a nice theater and they serve alcohol.
There you go.
Which I might need.
Have you ever been to the first dine-in theater ever? I think I may have asked you this before.
Yeah, I have not.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. No way I would go there for this, but if there was a movie that's been out for a while, I'll say what the hell, but no way I would go to that theater for the opening night of Endgame. No way.
I mean, in that same regard, I saw a meme online, and it was something like reasons why I put the closed caption on movies when I'm watching it at home. One, I forget what the other options were, but 3, it was like, is because I plan to eat chips. And I was like, wow, that's a really good idea, because I just crank the volume up so I can hear over the sound of myself eating Doritos.
There you go. There you go.
The internet never ceases to come up with awesome solutions to problems that I didn't know existed.
What would we do without it? And remember, there's going to be no potty breaks.
No, I normally I go and get the largest pop I can, and I like to get the where you can mix the drinks. I go with the raspberry lemonade.
Ooh,
and I'm like, I can't do it this time. I can't do it because I'm not going to be able to hold it, and I cannot leave in that movie because I heard that there's no downtime for potty breaks.
Yeah, I got to get a soda, but I'm going to drink very, I'm going to try to spread it out. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge. I have seen 3-hour movies in the theater before, not many, but I think I've seen one or two. But I remember going to the bathroom in one of those. I was a kid, but I went to the bathroom, and it might even have been longer than Endgame. It was Peter Jackson's version of King Kong, and that's 3+ hours. But there was some downtime in that movie where you could go to the bathroom, and it's not going to be the case with Endgame.
Yeah, I went to when the third of the Lord of the Rings movies came out. I went to the theater by where I lived at the time. So it was the King of Prussia Theater. They did a screening of the first 2 Lord of the Rings movies, the extended versions, and then there was like a 45-minute break. And then it's started with the first showing of the midnight showing of the third movie. So it was like 7 hours of movie, then going into a midnight showing of a 3-hour movie.
That's crazy.
And I was like, man, I don't want to go to work tomorrow. But then I saw my boss at the theater and I was like, I don't have to go to work tomorrow because she knows what's up.
Right on. Right on.
All right. So should we chalk some sports now?
We should.
I feel like I want to talk White Sox first.
Okay.
I'm sure you saw the precipitating incident that's been all the talk of the White Sox this week, right?
Oh, yes. Yes, I saw that.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and just say that I think baseball and the umpire are doing Tim Anderson dirty.
I think a lot of people agree with you, yes.
I mean, number one, I am not anti-bat tossing. This is 2019. Like, toss that bat. Toss that bat. As long as you're not flinging it at the pitcher or the catcher, toss that bat.
Which he wasn't doing.
Yeah, he tossed it. I mean, he threw it forcefully, but it was not towards anybody. And, stare at the ball. You hit a home run. Who was the guy from the Twins that kneeled down to watch a home run? Like, I want all of that action. You know what? And if I do that and you don't like it, guess what? You better get me out next time.
That's the whole thing. The whole plunking thing. You realize you're putting somebody on base. And the Royals realized, come on, you're in a tie game. It's late in a tie game. And you're putting the go-ahead run on base with nobody out. Is it really worth to hit somebody because they hurt your feelings? I get it's an emotional game, but come on. Getting them out is the ultimate revenge.
You hurt my feelings, I'm going to give you the win here. Like, that's dumb logic.
But I hit him, so it was worth it. I pull up my jeans now, clank my spurs, and spit.
I just don't get it. And then Tim Anderson gets suspended, and we find out later it's because he used the N-word. And then there's people that are up in arms. Nobody should use that word. Listen, white guy that wears 3/4 length socks. Like, it is not your decision to make. It is not your decision to make. It is Tim Anderson's decision to make. If other black people do not like him saying that, that is not our problem. That is their issue to work out. And if Tim Anderson wants to say it, more power to him, especially when he's saying it to a white guy. Like, this needs to stop. He gets the same suspension as a pitcher who hit somebody with a baseball.
Yeah, seems a little backwards.
I just don't get it. Hopefully the White Sox can use this as some sort of rallying point. I mean, it hasn't quite yet, but like, hopefully this can be some sort of solidifying thing. Tim Anderson's already clobbering the baseball. He's batting over 400 still has over 1,000 OPS. You've got some serious bats there, and hopefully you can start gelling things together and play as a team rather than, several guys that are just playing lights out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's been off to a real hot start, and he's got all the confidence in the world right now. And I don't think he's letting it get to him. It's funny. You listen to like the interviews after the game, and he really didn't seem that upset. He's just like, it is what it is, and I think he's just kind of ready to move forward with it.
I mean, here's the thing. There's confidence level where you have no confidence and you beat yourself about this. Then there's the fake confidence where, it's defiance. You're like, oh, they're going to suspend me. They're going to do this. I'm going to get them. And then there's Tim Anderson. Meh, I'm just going to do what I do. And he's on like next level confidence right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing with the whole situation is it doesn't make sense to suspend a starting pitcher 5 games because that literally ultimately means you're missing 1 start. And if you move him back, he might as well not be missing any time. So I think that Major League Baseball should look into this whole punishment when it comes to starters and think, hey, maybe we should, adjust the rules so it's more of a punishment to a starting pitcher.
It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. So let's see, what else do we got from the White Sox? You got a series against the Orioles where you can get right a little bit, but you're going to be without Eloy Jimenez. He's on bereavement. His grandmother passed away, so he's going to miss this series. But you still have Yohan Moncada and Tim Anderson who are clubbing the ball. You got a really solid start this week from Reynaldo Lopez. Finally, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts, no walks. It's finally getting back to that form, we saw mid-season from him. Rodon is starting to look like a frontline pitcher. I mean, honestly, the big downside here is at what point do you give up on Carson Fulmer?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Sox ruined him before this rebuild even began, because if you remember, he was struggling in Double-A, and Kenny Williams said, let's bring him up and have him in the bullpen. What kind of development is that? I'm no expert on development in pitchers, but even I know that's a pretty bad move.
I don't think he was dealt. I guess they didn't handle him well. Everyone talked about how he was almost MLB ready when he came out in the draft, and they pushed him into the majors really quickly, put him in a bullpen role, and I just don't think he adjusted well, and he's never been able to recover. You don't even see like spurts from him where you're like, okay, I see a little something. There's guys that fail that you're, at some point you're like, man, I see it. I think he can if this, and this. I just, with Fulmer, I just don't see it. I don't see, he just screams bust.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. Unless he proves otherwise, I don't know. It doesn't look that good to me. You don't see a lot of good command. The stuff just, a 92-mile-an-hour fastball? Without much location or movement? What's that really going to get you? I don't know.
Yeah, Carlos Rodon has had his ups and downs, but you have seen like pretty good spurts of
and the
him
stuff
just looking
has always
dominant.
Looked good.
And you're like, okay, the stuff has always looked good, and you're like, that guy has major league stuff, period. And you just don't see that same from Fulmer, and it's sad because he at this point should be a frontline starter for you, and he's just not.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad story, but I don't know. It's not looking good.
No, but at least, I don't know. At least you've got a lot of good things going for you if you're the White Sox. You can't be mad. We talk about how you take a lot of young players because you're going to have misses, and this is definitely one miss for the White Sox. And if this is the miss you have, you're okay. You're all right.
Yeah, it's one pitcher out of how many prospects they have.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
This was before the rebuild too. This was well before that, I think, wasn't it? Wasn't it like 2015-ish? He was drafted somewhere around there.
Oh man, let me take a look.
I know he made his debut in 2016 out of the bullpen, so it was definitely before the rebuild.
He was drafted, the 2015 draft.
Yeah.
But the White Sox, the bench clearing brawl that, from the Tim Anderson incident, it got me thinking, what is your favorite hometown baseball brawl you've ever seen?
Ooh. Well, I mean, probably the most famous was the Barrett AJ incident in 2016. It's probably the one I remember the most.
Yeah, I mean, I have one from the White Sox, one from the Cubs, and my one from the White Sox is not a favorable one for the White Sox, but I always hated Robin Ventura. I don't know why. He just had a punchy face. I just never liked him. And when he got his ass kicked by Nolan Ryan, that was amazing.
He was like 40 years old.
He was like almost twice his age. I remember I clipped this is pre-internet, so I clipped from the newspaper the picture on the front page of Nolan Ryan having Robin Ventura in a hammerlock, punching him in the face, and I cut it out of the newspaper and hung it in my room.
Oh, that's great.
But I think my all-time favorite one was it had to be like June of '89. It was the Cubs versus Cardinals. And I want to say Sean Dunston hit his second home run of the game, and then Sandberg hit a home run. And Whitey Herzog put in Frank DiPino to pitch to Mark Grace. And Frank DiPino, I don't know if you remember him, he played for the Cubs, and him and Mark Grace hated each other. And as soon as Frank DiPino gets up there, he threw a pitch, and it wasn't even that it wasn't even that close to Mark Grace, and Mark Grace charged the mound. And afterwards, so Grace threw his bat aside and like started in towards DiPino, and DiPino yelled, "Come on!" So Mark Grace, this is Mark Grace's words. Grace said, he said, "Come on." So I did.
That's great.
But I just remember that Mark Grace just was ready to fight.
And when was that?
89.
89. And
here's another quote from Mark Grace about it. "I know that Frank DiPino doesn't like me. I heard that if he was ever going to pitch against me, he was going to try and drill me." And it wasn't even that close of a pitch. And they got into a fight. And God, who was the first baseman for the Cardinals? Pedro Guerrero. Pedro Guerrero came and grabbed Mark Grace, and Mark Grace got a shoulder injury and was out for a while.
Ooh.
But it was classic Mark Grace, because he looked like such a choir boy, and that sweet swing. But man, he was an angry man.
Oh, I could see it. I could see it. What was the origin of that feud? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm sure there's some stories in there, because Mark Grace is not one to mince words. But yeah, Frank DiPino and Mark Grace did not like each other.
Huh. Interesting. Well, another brawl I do remember was recently. Do you remember, was it 2014 against the Reds, when Aroldis Chapman was throwing 102-mile-an-hour fastballs over, I think it was Chris Coughlin or Ryan Sweeney's head, and then Rizzo started shouting, and they came together. It wasn't really that much of a brawl, but it was benches cleared and there was some jawing and there was some shoving.
It was an all right one, but let me just say that Don Zimmer didn't get thrown down by his head.
No, not like in two. Was that 03 or was that 04?
I
think it was 03. I thought it was 03.
Maybe it was. I just remember just old man Don Zimmer getting flung to the ground.
Well, I remember him almost looking like a kid imitating an airplane going after Pedro Martinez, and then Pedro just one swift move just threw him.
Oh, man.
But, there was another. I completely forgot about this one. Remember the wild card game?
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that. Sean Rodriguez punching the Gatorade cooler.
That was a good one.
Well, it was great because the Cubs just dominated that game, and Arrieta completely shut those guys down. The Clint Hurdle, his old crusty ass, watching from the dugout. That was great.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other good ones.
We all remember the AJ Barrett brawl. That's a Chicago classic.
You know what, though? Name one person that wasn't a teammate of AJ Pierzynski that didn't hate his guts.
Hawk, if you count him in the organization.
Okay. Other than that, everybody that's, unless they've played with him, hates his guts. They just hate him.
Oh, he was a hell of a ball player, but he was an ass. Look, look at John Lackey. I don't think he was exactly Mr. Popular on any of his teams, but he had a good career as well. And except AJ didn't, ride around on Buttercup every day. Could you imagine if that brawl involved a John Lackey Cubs team and AJ Pierzynski? Could you just imagine the red ass of it?
That would be a good one.
Throw in Jake Peavy and I don't know, who was another red ass on the Cubs in recent years?
I know my favorite red ass. There was never a Cub, Rob Dibble.
Oh, yeah.
He was a red ass. But I'm trying to think on the
Was
Cubs.
he on the Reds?
Yeah.
Was he the one that got into it with Lou Piniella?
Probably. He got in with everybody. Rob Dibble.
Yeah. I remember that. I didn't see him, but I've seen clips on YouTube of him.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who else would have been red ass on the Cubs.
You can't really count Travis Wood because he was just more of a hillbilly.
He really was a hillbilly.
Not really much of a red ass, but there's got to be one that we can't think of right now. When I think of red ass and Cubs, John Lackey's the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah, because he was the ultimate red ass.
He was. He really was. John Lester can be a little like that, but not really, You know what
was another good Cubs brawl? I think it was last year against the Marlins.
Oh, when was it Bryant tried to tickle Castro?
The tickle fight?
Yeah, I remember that. There's got to be another. Also, there's got to be a big brawl. I'm trying to remember that the Cubs got into. I've seen footage of that White Sox brawl against Detroit. I think that was in 2000. That was an ugly one. I think there were a buttload of people suspended after that one. Do you remember that one? It's on YouTube.
Maybe.
I think they brawled like 3 different times in that game. And of course, Hawk Harrelson was the audio on that video. So like it was just perfect. Oh, this wasn't Cubs or Sox. Right. But do you remember Carlos Quentin when he was on the Padres? And it was Zach Greinke, I think. Do you remember that brawl?
Oh, yeah.
That was a classic. I'll have to go back and watch that one.
I'm looking at Rob Dibble. He once threw a ball into the stands and smashed a woman in the face with it.
Oh my God.
Oh, red ass Cub. Kyle Farnsworth.
Oh yeah, the tackle, that football tackle he had. You remember that?
Yeah, he was a red ass. Yeah,
He still is. He still is. Rob Dibble.
yeah.
Look at pictures of him. He looks like Duck Dynasty cut his hair. Whoever the name of those Duck Dynasty people are. That's funny.
Carlos Zambrano could be pretty red ass.
I just think he was a nut. He was just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I take it that's who you wanted to talk about next.
We can. I looked up Bleacher Report has a list of baseball's biggest hotheads. So I'll just.
Rob Dibble was a broadcaster?
That's got to be interesting. Number 1, Billy Martin. 2, Jose Offerman. I could see that. 3, Ozzie Guillen. 4, Delman Young.
Delman Young? I don't remember him being a hothead.
Go watch the video of him in the umpire fighting.
Okay.
Juan Marichal, Lou Piniella, Bobby Cox.
They just put a video on YouTube. It's a Lou Piniella compilation of him just getting pissed off.
So it's just basically his everyday routine.
What is he talking about? What is he talking about on television?
7, Bobby Cox. 8, Yugeth Urbina. 9, Carlos Zambrano.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos Zambrano has an excessive number of incidents during his career at the Cubs. His fight with Michael Barrett has already been mentioned and is one of the many problems he has had. 2009, he got in an argument with umpire Mark Carlson about a call at home plate. He was ejected from the game and then threw a ball in his glove onto the field.
I remember that.
Swung his bat at the Gatorade cooler. And then he had the incident with Chipper Jones. Good grief. Then Izzy Alcantara, Ty Cobb, Julian Tavares, John Rocker, Philip Wellman, Tony Bernazard, Leo DeRocher, John McGraw, Elijah Dukes, Frank Francisco, Carlos Perez, Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers was a hothead too. Bert Campaneris, Jocko Halligan, Earl Weaver, Sean Chacon, Robbie Alomar, Vince Coleman, Milton Bradley.
Oh, God. 10 years ago, that guy was a Cub. Remember what a disaster that was?
That was a disaster.
Throwing the ball into the stands.
After being suspended by the Cubs, Bradley publicly spoke about the negative attitude around the team and attributed it to the team's championship drought.
I remember that too. I mean, Bradley was, Bradley, but, it was pretty obvious that that clubhouse was not the greatest towards the end of the Piniella era.
How is Albert Bell not on this list?
Yeah.
He tried to run children over with his car.
What about Ruth? He was kind of a hothead, wasn't he?
Let's see. We got AJ Pierzynski, Michael Barrett, Francisco Rodriguez, Hal McRae, Lloyd McClendon, George Moriarty.
See, some of the names you're reading, I had no idea were hotheads.
Kyle Farnsworth, Gary Templeton.
Uh-huh.
I feel like in the 80s, everybody was a hothead.
Yeah,
Rob
really.
Dibble, Dick Allen, Pete Rose. Pete Rose was a hothead. Ed Whitson.
Yeah, he was.
Carl Everett, Vincente Padilla. He was a damn hothead. George Brett's got to be on this list. See, Roger Clemens.
Well, I just remember the pine tar incident. Not actually, I wasn't alive, but that's what I think of him when I think of him exploding.
Yeah, but he was a red ass too. George Brett, here he is. Lee Elia, Jim Leland.
We were just talking about that rant yesterday with my family.
The rant is amazing.
That rant is beautiful.
I mean, I was a tiny little kid when that happened, but it was like, I've only ever heard it on YouTube, but it's a good one. Jimmy Leland, I think that guy smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a game. Lenny Dykstra, he was a red ass in real life too. Chuck Knoblaw, Gary Sheffield.
Gary Sheffield? I don't remember him being a hothead.
He was involved in a number of brawls throughout his career. He actually sat out a game while he was on the New York Mets because the team would not offer him an extension.
Interesting. I never heard that story.
But yeah, let's, a name we mentioned, Carlos Zambrano. He will be a Chicago Dog.
He'll be right by me in Rosemont, and I will definitely see him play at some point this summer. I just wish it was last summer because I interned right next door last summer. That would have been cool.
Yeah, my buddy Gary, that's been on the show. He plays in an adult baseball league, and one of the guys that used to be on his team now plays for the Chicago Dogs. And he's like, "Oh, if you want an autograph, let me know." He's like, he's in the locker room with Zambrano.
Hell yeah!
I'm like, hell's yeah.
That's got to be really exciting for the ticket sales people because they know their ticket sales are going to go up this year with that.
Oh yeah, especially if the Cubs don't, start turning it around. If they meander, there's going to be people like, nah, I'm going to see Big Z pitch.
Well, I think it'll be that way no matter what because Cubs games are so damn expensive.
They are expensive. They're real expensive. Like I used to always go to several games a year, and they just kind of slowly dropped. And now it's kind of one of those things like, oh, when people are in town, then we go. But I don't really go that often unless somebody's like, oh, I have extra tickets and I can't make it to the game. Here, take them for free.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes you just got to look at the matchup and when it is because some of these games early on, like I bet you the second week of May when they play the Marlins, that's going to be nothing compared to the cost of when they play the Cardinals or the Brewers or I don't know if there's any big teams coming to town interleague play, but yeah, those are the big matchups. Those are going to be the ones. Obviously, the Cubs-Sox one is usually a big one, but yeah, a lot of those games are still really, really expensive.
Yeah, it's just not worth it. You mean dropping that kind of money for like a couple tickets, and then of course you're going to eat, and then getting to the game.
And that food ain't cheap either.
It is not. And I live close enough where I can take public transportation. I can just take the bus all the way there. But if you drive, you've got to pay to park, or you take a cab the whole way, Uber, just gets expensive.
And I don't know if they're still doing, because I loved when they did this. Do you remember when they did that shuttle service?
From where?
Irving Park Road. I think it was Irving and it was a big lot and it was a school bus transportation and it was nonstop. The school buses would come around. You'd park your car. It was free. You'd park your car in the lot and people would get on the buses and it would nonstop be circulating. So if you had to leave in the 7th inning, a bus would stop by every 20 minutes. The only painful thing was trying to get out of the park when everyone was trying to get on the buses. That could be a wait, but it was better than dropping like $50 on parking.
They do have a shuttle service still. It's like, I want to say maybe it's the same one you're thinking of. I thought it was on Addison, but maybe it's more north of there.
Well, it does stop on the Addison side of the park.
Yeah, it's like Rockwell-ish, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's Irving and Rockwell.
Yeah, okay. So it's basically the same one.
Yeah.
I see it because I usually come that way down Addison instead of Irving. So it's probably just see it from the other way, but it's probably between the two because there's only, 4 blocks between the two. So yeah, here it is. Yeah, it's halfway between.
Yeah, it's convenient, especially, it's for where I come from. I come from the western suburbs, so you can get there pretty easily. You pay $0, 0 cents for it. So I know they don't do it every game. I think they've only done select games, but a few years ago they did most of the home games there, and then I think they cut down a little bit. But it was convenient. But if you try to park in Wrigleyville, oh God. Luckily we have my brother's place where we park sometimes, but it could still be hard even parking there because he doesn't have a garage. He's like 4 blocks, 5 blocks away, but he doesn't have a garage. We used to have our uncle that lived there who had a garage. We just parked there for free all the time, and that was much closer to the park. But, if you can't find a spot and you have to park in one of those designated areas, you're dropping a crap ton of money.
Yeah, I've got a couple secret spots, not secret, but a couple of spots where they're not far. They're definitely easy walk, but where you usually can find free street parking. And
is it Buttercup stall?
What's that?
Is it Buttercup stall?
Yeah, just park in Buttercup's trailer.
you pay John Lackey and Shaw.
Yeah, it's you park for free, but you just got to come out and clean up, manure piles off your hood when you get back.
I ain't cleaning that.
You park in Buttercup's stall, you get Buttercup's turds.
Okay, Lackey, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we're already talking baseball. Let's talk a little Cubs here. The Cubs, man, I can't figure them out. They start turning the corner and they peter out a little bit. You feel like the bottom of this roster is what's keeping this team afloat.
It is. Look at what Daniel Descalso is doing. Look what Jason Hayward's doing. Look what David Bodie's doing.
And it's weird. Like, there's nobody that's like, okay on the Cubs as far as their stats this year. It is the haves and the have-nots. So Almora, 196 batting average, 437 OPS.
Yeah, that's bad.
So his OPS is only a few points higher than Tim Anderson's batting average.
Yeah, he doesn't have an extra base hit yet.
Yeah, Chris Bryant is batting 230. Rizzo's batting 197. Zobrist is batting.
Not worried about that though.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. Zobrist is batting 236 with a 575 OPS. Those are the have-nots. Then you look in the middle, or you look at the other side. Javi batting 302 with a 938 OPS. Wilson Contreras 321 with almost a 1.2 OPS. David Bodie 295 with an 835 OPS.
And a walk-off hit.
And a walk-off hit. Descalso 308 with an 822. Zagunis is batting 304. And I don't think he's got a walk yet.
I don't think so either. And that was kind of his bread and butter, was walking.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're batting 304, you're doing something all right.
Yeah.
And then Hayward, who I told you early in the season, I liked the way his swing was going, and he's batting 351 with an over 1 OPS.
I've been enjoying watching him play.
Me too. I love it. It's finally starting to see the guy that we paid all this money to.
Yeah. Hopefully it stays that way.
Hope. Imagine Javi, Jay Hay, and then if Bryant and Rizzo finally turn it around, that's a cool.
I think Rizzo's already turning it around. He does this every year.
And then with Contreras, you could have 5 guys with a 1 OPS in a row.
Love it. Now, here's the thing. I'm a little baffled about Bryant. I'm not surprised at Rizzo. He does this literally every single year, and then he's fine. I am not worried about Rizzo in the slightest. He's already looking better. He's already looking like he's going to break out. But Bryant, how many hittable pitches does that guy miss?
I mean, flat out miss. They are like spicy meatballs right down the middle, and he just woof.
And 2015, 2016, he sends those over the video board.
If he saw the meatballs that he's seen this year, and he would have seen it his rookie year, his second year, he would have had 8 home runs by now.
Absolutely. He hasn't come close to hitting another one since opening day. I don't get it. Is he not seeing it? Is he still hurt? He claims he's not, but we're not inside him. We don't know how he feels.
He's trying to say that he worked that shoulder so much that it's stronger than the other one, and that's why. Like, no, there's something not right. And I don't know if it's the shoulder still bothering him, or if there's eyesight issues. I have no idea, but he just looks lost up there.
Yeah, he does. I don't know.
And
I mean, what's going on.
It could be one of those things too, where guys that have never struggled, when they finally struggle, they struggle hard because they've never struggled, so they don't know how to overcome it. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's contributing to it as well. But it's been a long struggle.
Yeah, ever since he came back from injury last year. You got to remember, the beginning of last year, Bryant was on pace to be an MVP type player again, and then he got hurt.
Yeah, and there's people that are like, oh, when he got hit in the head, but he hit well after that.
Yes, he did.
It's really the shoulder.
Unless there's some long-term effect in the head that we don't know about. I mean, I'm not a medical expert, so I don't know, but that's the only thing I could think of in terms of that.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because, I mean, I'm fine if it takes him a while to get the power back, but just missing pitches, you can't live with that. It's more.
If he was batting over 300 with an over 400 OBP, but he wasn't really hitting home runs, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, not long term because you need him to be a superstar for you to win. But if that's how he's struggling, and he's still making contact and spreading the ball out, spraying it, then you're like, okay, well, I can live with that. But the problem is he puts you in a tough predicament because you really can't bench him, but you also can't live with those bad at bats.
No, it's frustrating. I wonder if they just need to move him in the order. Move him down. He hasn't been moved yet. Move him down.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that.
I mean, what harm could it do at this point? It's not working at 2 right now. People have argued he shouldn't have been at 2 for years now. So why not try something different? You've moved other guys around in the order. You've moved Schwarber around. You've moved Javi around.
Everybody. You've moved Rizzo to leadoff.
Yeah.
Exactly. You've moved everybody. Move him around. You've moved him more times in position than you have in the batting order.
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
So you got to get him going.
I agree.
So interesting question.
Yes.
All right. We are 2 weeks away or so from when Addison Russell can return?
Yeah, about roughly.
What do you do with him?
Here's what I can see happening. He comes back. He plays every day. The Cubs try to get value, and the Cubs eventually trade him. I just don't see him fitting in with this team going forward. I mean, because look, David Bodie is playing really well. You have Daniel Descalso playing really well. Zobrist is in a little bit of a funk, but you remember, until about last week, he was doing pretty well, and he's due to go in a slump, especially since he's older.
Yeah, and you've got Javi, who's MVP caliber.
And who I think is a better shortstop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Frankly.
And that's not even a dig on Addison Russell. Addison Russell's a good shortstop, but Javi's great.
He can make Russell can make the plays with the glove, but how many times have we seen him throw it in the dirt?
So yeah, I don't know what you do with him unless you want to give some time off to Bryant and you move Bodie over to third.
But why would you do that? If Bryant's supposed to be your best player, why would you do that? And who do you send down? Probably Mark Zagunis, right?
I guess. Who's batting over 300? I don't know. I don't know what the plan is here. Addison Russell, what are the odds that he comes in and plays well enough to trade a wife beater?
I don't know. I do think that there'd be a number of rebuilding teams or teams looking for a shortstop that would potentially be interested. But I don't know how much really value he has. But if he doesn't have much value, then why would you want to keep him anyway? When you have better value guys already on your team, why would you want him taking up that space? Even if you don't get much back for him, but there's really no room for him, why keep him?
I mean, even if what kind of numbers would he need to put up from now until the trade deadline to get something of value for him?
I feel like you would have to hit a bunch of home runs and show some power, at least. Because we didn't see any of that last year.
No.
I mean, remember he was supposed to be a 20-plus MVP type hitter? We haven't seen that. His OBP is like what? Around average 320?
He's not he hasn't been what we thought he was going to be.
No, even before all this stuff came out, he never was.
And it's not it's not like he's got this sweet contract that's team friendly or anything.
It's not going to take on though, but because doesn't he have a few years of control left?
Looking that up now. I imagine he's got a couple years of team control left.
Yeah, I thought he did.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, I think right now the value that other teams would see in him is he's still young. He's proven he could field. He did have a season of 20 homers in 2016. Again, I don't think the value is super high, but I do feel like there would be teams interested.
I would hope so. I would really hope so.
If we could get like a good reliever in return, that would be pretty ideal.
That would be nice at this point.
And here's another thing that I think needs to be considered. A lot of people would obviously be really upset at seeing Joe put Russell in the lineup every day, and it's probably going to happen. But my question is that Joe's decision, or is the front office telling him, "Hey, we want to showcase this guy. We want to try to build some value. Play him every day." Like, who's calling that shot of how he plays? Is it Madden or is it the front office?
I have no idea, honestly.
I don't either. So that's why I won't automatically just blame Madden for having him in the lineup, because I'd have that feeling the front office said, hey, we're trying to showcase this guy, or we want to build some value. I don't know. Who knows what his future is? I feel like he's not going to be here in the long run. He may be here for some time when he comes back this year, but I think in the long run, he's not going to stick around, because you also have to remember, they have Nico Horner right now, who is absolutely raking in the minors, who had a great spring training, who's a notable prospect in the system. And it sounds like Epstein and Hoyer are pretty high on the kid, so if he's one of your future infielders and you're still going to try to keep Javi Baez, I don't think Addison Russell would be here much longer, would you?
No, I mean, every sign points to him not being here much longer.
Right.
So another question. I heard today that John Lester could return as soon as Thursday.
Yeah.
So if John Lester returns, no complications, with the way Chatty's been pitching and the way Yu Darvish is pitching, what do you do?
You got to stay course. You got to just let Darvish pitch. I don't think there's much you can do. I don't think they're just going to sit their pitcher who they're giving, $23 million this year. I don't think they're going to do anything like that. I think they're going to stay course with that.
Because Chatwood, the last couple outings, has pitched real well. I mean, in the spot start he had yesterday, looked good.
Looks very good.
I mean, he's not a strikeout master, but I think he only had a couple strikeouts. But I mean, he looked good. No earned runs, and it was against the Diamondback team that, although their pitching is not that great, coming into this series as a team, they were raking at the plate.
Yeah, and it's not like he got into a lot of trouble either. He only walked 2 guys, only gave up 3 hits.
Yeah, so he looked good. I mean, finally, maybe we're starting to have something there.
But I still don't think they're just gonna say, okay, no more Darvish. I don't think there's no way in hell they do that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But it puts you in a kind of a pickle because Hendricks is starting to, look like Hendricks. Cole Hamel.
His last outing was masterful.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a beautiful. It was what you expect when Kyle Hendricks. I'm sorry, it's what you hope for when Kyle Hendricks comes to the mound, and he delivered. Cole Hamels has looked good. John Lester, until he got injured, was looking great. Quintana.
Look at Jose Quintana.
Yeah. So it's I mean, it's funny when you've got Yu Darvish and Tyler Chatwood, who you're arguing about who should be your 5th starter.
Yeah. The Yu Darvish thing is kind of complicated because you see the potential in there. If you look at his last few starts, just take away the money he's making, take away what he's doing, all that stuff. If you just look at the box scores of the last few starts, you'd say those outings are okay. They're not great. They're not terrible. They're okay. But you need to see more from Yu Darvish. Now, April was the month I said, this is going to be the grace period. He's coming off a major injury. I don't think he's going to be as durable or going deep into games in his first few starts. And, that's what he hasn't gone very deep in a lot of games, but, the last game against Arizona, he started rough and then found a rhythm. I argue he should have gone out for another inning of work, but that's neither here or there. In Miami, outside the command, looked pretty good. The stuff looks good. The velocity's there. He looks healthy. We're getting past the grace period. It's time for him to really do his job. 6+ innings. We don't want to just look at bare minimum quality starts. We want to see really good dominant starts from him more often. But I see a lot of good there, but there's still a lot to be worked on. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny because you watch the stuff appears and you're just like, oh man, look at that curve. Oh man, look at that.
That slider. How does anyone come close to hitting that?
Yeah. And then you're just like, Oh man, that guy threw like 6 consecutive balls.
That's the biggest problem I have with Darvish right now. It's the command. Yeah, he's given up some solo homers, but I can live with solo homers more than walking these guys. And you notice that a lot of the walks he gives up are like to the bottom of the order.
Yep.
I don't get that.
He's an odd bird.
He is. But you see the potential there. I mean, that stuff looks filthy when it works. Because he's still, you look at his starts, he's still striking out a lot of guys. A lot of walks, some home runs, but he's striking out a lot of guys.
I mean, that's what you expect from him. He's a guy that has amazing stuff. You can strike out guys. It's the command has to come back. If he can keep it near the strike zone, I'm fine. I'm fine if he's missing, where close pitches where it's going to depend on the umpire. That's, the strike zone, but they're close enough where guys are going to check swing, close enough where guys are going to try to put it into play and just, pop it up. But it's missing real low, missing real high, missing way outside where they're just wasted pitches.
Right. Now, the one other promising thing I will say is Darvish has shown that he's been able to work out of jams more so far. You saw in the Miami game, you saw in the last game he pitched, you saw that he got into some jams and he either limited or got out of it. Last year, those would have probably been 5-run innings.
I don't know why this made it pop into my head, and sorry to go off on a tangent, but the other day, did you see that? How long has Joey Votto been in Major League Baseball?
Since 2007.
Did you see what he did for the first time in his career?
Popped up the first.
How in the world do you play in the league for this long at that level, and that's the first time you ever popped out to first?
I can't remember how many at-bats he had, but it was like thousands upon thousands in which he didn't do that until then. That's crazy.
Yep, 4,446 career batted balls.
There you go.
6,829 plate appearances.
There you go.
Any Votto pop fly is rare. They account for only 2% of his career batted balls and only 1.3% of his plate appearances.
Over more than a decade. And Votto, he usually is pretty durable. He's playing full seasons.
Number 1 and 2 and lowest pop-up percentage for per at-bat. Number 1, Christian Yelich. Number 2, Joey Votto.
That's good company right there. Christian Yelich.
Last year, Joey Votto tied his career high by popping up in 2.2% of his plate appearances.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
His lowest was in 2013. He popped up 3 times in 726 plate appearances.
What year was that?
2013.
2013. Yeah, he played all 162 that year.
He had 726 at bats. Well,
Wow.
plate appearances, because it doesn't, things that didn't count as a official at bat, but he went to the plate over 700 times in 3 pop-ups.
That's crazy. That guy's statistics are insane. I think he's got the highest OBP of any active player career-wise. He's got a career OBP of 426.
No other active player with at least 50 total pop-ups has avoided hitting any of them to the first baseman.
That's insane. For a guy that doesn't strike out a whole lot, considering how many at-bats he has, considering how patient he is, that's mind-boggling. How is that possible?
I don't know. It's unreal. Imagine if that guy played in a big market. If that guy played for the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Cubs or the Dodgers.
Oh, he'd be on every baseball card, poster, magazine, everywhere.
He'd be on Wheaties boxes, but he plays for Cincinnati.
Yeah. Kind of sad because I remember it was either last year or the year before. No, it was 2017 where he got cheated out of the MVP, in my opinion. That year, in 162 games, 36 homers, 100 RBIs, 320, 454, OPS of 1.032. And he finished second right behind Giancarlo Stanton. But Giancarlo Stanton hits the fancy big home runs. And no disrespect to him, he's a great player, one of the best power hitters that we have in this day and age today. But what Joey Votto did as a whole, as a batter, was insane.
Yeah, Joey Votto's ridiculous. Like he's fun to watch. I mean, he's just like he's so hard to get out.
He is. He had a 474 on base in 2012. 474. He nearly got on base half the time.
It's unreal.
In 475 plate appearances. It's unthinkable.
Are there any other baseball topics you wanted to talk about?
Oh, there's plenty of topics, but I think Cubs and Sox wise, pretty much said my piece there, but I will say this. The one thing that I could be happy about the Cubs the past week or so is A, the starters going long, and B, they're taking care of business.
Bullpen looking better.
It's looking better. Still flawed, but it's looking better. But you had the Angels, the Marlins, and the Diamondbacks. You split the brief series. You swept Miami. You took 2 out of 3 out of the Diamondbacks. That's what we could ask for, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, especially considering what we were like going into that, those 3 series. I don't know what else you could really ask for.
Right.
And then, you look at the standings and the rest of the teams are doing us a lot of favors because the Brewers came back down to earth. We're like 2.5 behind the Brewers. Or sorry, 1.5 behind the Brewers, 2.5 out of the lead.
Well, now that you say that, the Brewers are going to go on another BS tear again.
But the Pirates are in first place. Isn't that the team we wrote off?
Yeah, their pitching is fantastic. But how long is it going to last? Remember last year they did the same thing. I'm not saying it's going to be the same results as last year, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, when they have the best record in the National League, it's not going to carry on like that.
Yeah, again, they've been carried by that pitching. That pitching has been fantastic. And you knew that was going to be their strength. They got some great arms on that team.
Other than the Marlins, nobody in the National League is really terrible. Just a bunch of average teams.
And then you have the AL that just has so much garbage in it.
Yeah, the AL.
Look at the Royals. Look at the Orioles. The Tigers may be 500, but let's face it, they suck. They're going to be well below 500 in a month or so.
Yeah, they will. The White Sox are not very good.
Though I see the White Sox flirting with 500. I really do.
They just have to put it together. They're a bunch of good pieces on a not good team.
Right. And as more good pieces come up, you're going to get better throughout the year.
Yeah, and the Red Sox are garbage.
Yeah, that pitching is really falling apart. Really falling apart. How about the Rays, though? They continue to do their thing, and the Mariners are slugging the ball like crazy. I don't think that's going to last, but, give them credit.
That would be hilarious to me if it was the Mariners and the Rays in the AL championship.
That would be something. It would be kind of fun to watch the Mariners get back to the playoffs. I think they have the longest playoff drought in, at least in baseball.
That would be amazing is the AL and NL championship series were Mariners versus the Rays and the Pirates versus the Padres.
Oi. At least the Padres, we'd have Manny Machado to watch. The Padres are entertaining.
They're one of those teams that I can't hate because they're nothing to hate.
No. In fact, I'm kind of glad they're relevant again. Good for them. Wouldn't it be something if the San Diego Padres met up with the Dodgers in the playoffs and just kicked their butts?
Oh, I would love it.
Wouldn't that be
Absolutely
something?
love it.
Because you know how angry Dodgers fans would be, just beyond themselves.
I would find it hilarious.
It would be. It would be really entertaining. They've been on a little bit of a slide, but hey, they're a young team. They still have some pieces to bring up. I mean, that team is not complete yet. They have a starting pitching staff of guys I've literally never heard of. Joey Lucchesi, Eric Lauer, Matt Strahm, Chris Paddock, Nick Margivicus. I've never heard of these guys. Everyone else, though, like the bullpen, Kirby Yates, he's good. Craig Stamen, he's good. Former Cub Adam Warren. You have some notable guys in there. Fernando Tatis Jr., one of the best prospects in baseball, only 20 years old. He's looking good. You have Eric Hosmer off to a slow start. Ian Kinsler off to a slow start, but Manny Machado is off to a start. Will Myers is off to a good start. Manuel Margot is off to a decent start. So if some of the more guys like the veterans like Hosmer and Kinsler start picking it up a little bit, then you may see them start to win more games again. But at least they're interesting, no matter what, with Manny Machado.
Definitely.
One last question for you.
Sure.
When you watched the Cubs-Marlins series, you had to be like me when half those batters stepped up and did an imitation of Snoop Dogg. Who?
Yeah, I sat with my phone and I Googled a lot.
You knew Starlin Castro. You knew Neil Walker. You knew Martin Prado. You knew Louis Brinson because he's like this quote-unquote centerpiece of the Yelich trade, which might be the worst trade in MLB history at this rate. But other than that, who the hell are the rest of these guys? And I feel like, am I a bad, out-of-touch baseball fan? But I go on Twitter and I ask, and even all these other baseball people are like, no, I don't know who the hell half these guys are.
When you have Peter Gammons going, who is that?
Yeah, and I know I'm not the only one. So, like, I've heard of Brian Anderson. I kind of remember him. He's a decent... Oh, I forgot they have the rotting corpse of Curtis Granderson. We'll see how long that lasts. But Chad Wallach...
Oh, Curtis Granderson.
Isaac Galloway, Rosel Herrera, Jorge Alfaro. No idea who these guys are. No idea.
The Marlins. Nothing like dragging a team through the mud so you can make some more money.
Cheater. Thanks for giving both our rivals like two of your top players. You literally gave Ozuna and Yelich to the Brewers and the Cardinals. Literally gave it to them.
Mm-hmm.
What a disgustingly stupid, worthless franchise.
But I wanted to bring up something real quick. I wasn't going to talk any hockey, but did you see who the Ice Hogs signed?
Chris Versteeg.
The Steger. I'm excited. I want to go see him play.
I do too. I do too, because Christopher Stieg's always been one of my favorites.
You know what? He's not even that old. He's only 32.
Really?
Yeah.
He's only 32?
That's what I read in a press release.
Oh my God. I thought he was at least 35.
I mean, maybe he's about to turn 33, but that's what the
He'll turn 33 on May 13th. Yeah.
Yeah. What he's 32.
He was playing in Sweden last year.
Yeah, he split time between the SHL, the Swedish Hockey League, and the KHL. So yeah, I'm excited to see him play there. I mean, no chance to go to the Blackhawks because I think he signed directly with the Ice Hogs.
Yeah, it was a direct. It wasn't a two-way.
Yeah. So, but still, like that's accessible. Go down to the locker room and get to meet him. Now it's going to be funny because when they do those jersey auctions like 10 times a year, usually those jerseys go for like $300, $400. Versteeg is going to go for over $1,000.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of value there. He won 2 of the 3 Stanley Cups under Q. He was a fan favorite, and I'm actually really surprised how fast he fizzled out of the NHL. Because you remember his early years, his first stint with the Blackhawks, he consistently put up 20-goal seasons.
Yeah, but people then afterwards, he was brought on for potential and just never kind of realized it.
He really bounced around because I'm looking at his hockey reference page right now. After the Hawks traded him because of the salary cap, he was in Toronto, then he went to Philly, then he went to Florida, then he came back here where he won the second cup in 2015, then he was in Calgary, then he was in LA, and then he was back in Calgary. And he only scored 20-plus goals once outside his first stint as a Blackhawk. He scored 23. That was his career high in 2011, 2012 in Florida. But since then, the most he's scored is 15 in a season. So he just really fizzled out after a lot of promise.
Yeah, it's true. Definitely true. Let's talk a little Bears. I really didn't have a lot to say, but we got the draft coming up, and the schedule came out. So I want to go through with you and play the game of what's the Bears' record going to be.
Okay.
And so they opened the season in a primetime game against the Green Bay Packers at home in Chicago.
Uh-huh.
Do they win that game?
I'm going to be confident and say yes.
I'm going win too.
It's going to be a close one, but I think they're going to pull it out.
Then after that, they go to Denver, play against the Broncos and Vic Fangio.
For some reason, I just see that as a bad loss. I don't know why. I could see them laying a total egg in Denver.
I say win because who's the quarterback of Denver?
Well, I mean, that's going to be the biggest thing. I don't know. I feel like that defense, the Denver defense, is going to shut us down. And even so, every year the Bears have that game where they're favored in a matchup and then they just suck. I just have a feeling that's going to be that game.
Yeah, I just feel like that is going to be the game where you finally see the Matt Nagy offense start to gel. And you go, oh man, they didn't do that against a scrub team. They did it against a bunch of amazing defensive players with Vic Fangio around them.
Yeah.
I'm going Bears win.
All right.
And I partly because I trust Matt Nagy and partly because Joe Flacco is their quarterback. The guy who lost his job to the I think the 27th total QBR rated quarterback last year. That's who he lost his job to. So Joe Flacco, that's your quarterback.
Rock on.
Then they go to a primetime game at the Washington Redskins.
I think they win that game.
I feel like you have to win that
Yeah.
game. Because Washington is the most mediocre team over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Then after that, they come home and play the Minnesota Vikings.
I think they win that game. I think the defense wins that game.
So. I think so too, because I think that is a team that they had a shot to. I feel like in NFL teams is you get that shot to be great, and if you don't take it and you fall short, that it sets the trajectory for you. And I think the Vikings had that chance to grab greatness, missed it, and I think they're going to start going on a downward spiral. Then they go to London to play the Oakland Raiders.
I think they win that one.
I feel like that, especially since we're a week before the draft and John Gruden fired all of his scouts.
Yeah.
That team is a dysfunctional mess. After London, they have their bye. Then they play the New Orleans Saints at home.
I think they lose that one.
I think so too. I think it's a tough one there.
That is a tough one. That I could see going either way, but I just feel like there's going to be one big play that Drew Brees and his offense makes that sinks us.
Then they have a home game against the Chargers.
I think they win that one.
I think they lose that one. I think they lose back to back.
I could see why. You would say that.
Then they go to Philadelphia and play the Eagles.
They lose that one. That's been a house of horrors.
I say they win. I say they come back, and we're all, after they lose back-to-back games, after a bye, they all the fans are panicking, and they go to Philadelphia and win a game. I think that's what happens. Then we get Detroit at home.
Win.
Yeah, I agree. Then we go to the Rams on a primetime game.
Tough loss.
I say they lose, but I think it is a close loss. And
I agree.
And people go, man, we saw what they did to the Rams last year in Chicago, and we thought it would be a much different game going to LA. But it really was. I mean, it was a different game, but it was still a close one. So I'm going loss.
That's one of those games where I could see there just being one big mistake that we make that sinks us.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a late fumble or something like that. Then we come back home and play the Giants.
I think we win that one.
I think so too, because they still don't have a quarterback. Then we go to Detroit to play on Thanksgiving.
Frustrating loss.
Ooh.
I don't think they sweep them again.
I go win.
I would like that, but I have that feeling it's going to be a loss.
Then we get a primetime game at home against the Cowboys.
Win.
I think win as well.
I think Khalil Mack absolutely eats Dak for breakfast.
Yeah, then they can't run the ball with Zeke. They force him to throw the ball, and Bears eat him up.
Yeah, I think the Bears could potentially destroy the Cowboys in that game if they're healthy.
Then they go to Green Bay.
I think that's a loss.
I think that is a loss as well. Then home in a primetime game against Kansas City Chiefs.
This is where they step the fuck up and they win an epic game.
Yep. I think they win. And you see, suddenly you go, oh man, Mitch Trubisky just threw for 450 yards.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a game where Trubisky shines, because I don't think that Chiefs defense is going to be good at all.
And then the last game of the season, they go at Minnesota.
Dub. Defense shuts down Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I would say I started to go, I lost just because I think they're going to rest people. But I don't think Matt Nagy has any chill. I don't think he rests anybody.
And that could be a huge game, because of where I have them in their as the final record, that could mean something.
You have
So I got my final record total up.
you got what 10-6?
Uh-huh.
I've got them at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've got them 12-4.
Wow. Spicy meatball. Let's look at some of the games we disagree with.
We disagreed at the Denver game. And I could see where that if they had a real quarterback, I could see that. But then they're playing in Denver, and that altitude always plays havoc on people.
Right.
But Khalil Mack has played there every year up until last year and has played well. So
Trubisky has not. Cohen has not. A lot of those key guys on the offense haven't played much there.
So I mean, I'm not my confidence level. I am 70% confident.
Okay.
So I'm not like, oh yeah, that's definite. Put money on that. But I'm also better than 50-50.
That's fair.
Let's see. We disagree on the Chargers. And I could see them winning that game. I think the Chargers, they weren't nearly as good as we saw what happened when they played a good defense last year in the playoffs. And they got shut down.
See, yeah, I think the Bears can identify their weaknesses and completely shut it down.
And it is in Chicago. So that's a plus. If it's
right
in California, Phillip Rivers looks a lot better. So that's one. I'm with the loss. I have that as, I don't know. I just bad feeling about playing Phillip Rivers. So I could go either way on that one.
Fair.
Eagles. I see your point. This is more of a please don't let them lose to the Eagles again because I don't have to unfriend more people on Facebook.
Yeah, and I'm not looking forward to that broadcast. You know they're going to show that Cody Parkey over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And
if I have to watch that 10 times and hear about Robbie Gold and then they lose,
I may listen to that on the radio.
Yeah, so I could totally see that. It's just my hopes. My hope. I mean, more realistic is probably what you have is loss to New Orleans, win against Chargers, then loss against Phillies. Probably much more realistic in that, but we both have them going 1-2 in that stretch. But I'm just hoping they beat Philadelphia.
I would love that.
We disagree on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I don't really have any logic behind this one. I just don't feel like we're going to have that same magic on Thanksgiving we had last year, unless the Lions are really bad.
We had the magic with a backup quarterback in, though.
We did, but I do think the Lions are going to be a little bit better this year. Again, this is just one of those, not really one of those matchup things. This is just one of those hunch things. I never have a lot of confidence when they play at Ford Field. So, that's all I got to say about that one. I could easily see the Bears winning that game. I think if a fully healthy Bears team takes on the Lions, they can definitely win that game. I don't know. I kind of gave that one just kind of a hunch L.
I just don't see the Lions defense doing anything. And I feel like Akeem Hicks has a huge game because the big man wants to eat the turkey legs.
I could see that.
And that's the only games we disagree on.
Yeah. Okay, some of the games we do agree on. I kind of want to see how you think it'll go down. We talked about some of them, but we talked about
opening night Green Bay. I think the Bears put an ass whooping on Green Bay.
You think? Oh boy, I would love that.
Because think about it, is the Bears stymied the Green Bay Packers last year but they just couldn't score. They just went dead at the end of the game. I feel like Matt Nagy goes, no, this is the team that has rubbed everybody's noses in shit and made, if you've seen Step Brothers, they made them eat the white dog shit or lick the white dog shit. That's what the Green Bay has done to every other team in the division. The Bears are going to go there and they're going to put it to the floor, and they are going to not stop until they get, they're on the, getting their cars going home. I think they win 27-10.
I see a 28-17 win.
So not too much difference.
No, I feel like it's going to be close throughout, and then the Bears pull away.
I just feel like you're going to see statistic, like you're going to see Aaron Rodgers have a lot of passing yards, but not be able to put a lot of points on the board.
Okay. I mean, I would either way. I just want to win.
We agree on the New Orleans game. It's a loss. How do you see that one happening?
Yeah, again, I just think that Breeze is going to make a big play, but I could see the Bears winning this game. I really do, but I don't know. I think if you looked at it paper right now, I would probably just give a slight edge to the Saints. I know Drew Brees is old, but he's got so many weapons around him. I think it's going to be one of those games where it's kind of back and forth, really close, and then the Saints make a big play late, and that's what wins it.
So here's how I see a similar thing. You have them. It's in Chicago, which is good for the Bears, but it is in mid-October. It is not. If that game was in mid-December, I would say I could see the Bears winning this. But it's gonna be in the middle of October. It could still be 70 degrees outside. So, there's a good possibility that we have good weather for that game, which really plays into the Saints. But I don't think it's a blowout. I think it's a tough game, and Drew Brees makes a big play to win the game.
Yep, right there with you.
The Bears, I think, have a lead late, and Drew Brees drives down, and they kick a field goal to win the game.
I could totally see that. One of those really long, grueling drives that just takes up so much time.
All right, let's do one more we agree on. Second to last game of the season, prime time at home against the Chiefs.
So how I see that happening is the first half is going to be a lot of back and forth scoring. Pat Mahomes is going to do a lot. Mitch Trubisky against that defense is going to do a lot. Late in the game, the score is close. The Bears create a massive turnover, whether it's an interception, fumble recovery, wherever. They get that, they score a touchdown, and then on the Chiefs' final attempt, the Bears just shut them down.
I see it as the Bears get a lead early because I feel like Kansas City is going to try to establish the run, and they're not going to be able to do it. They're not going to be able to get that run going at all. And then they're going to start going to the short and intermediate passing game, and they're going to move the sticks. Mahomes is going to get confidence, and then, he's going to put some points on the board. I think the difference in this game is that the Bears definitely have the better defense far and away. It's going to be the fact that Pat Mahomes is going to get frustrated because they're going to make him earn every yard. He's not going to throw some bombs down the middle for 70-yard touchdowns. He's going to have to dink and dunk, and that's how the Bears are able to frustrate Aaron Rodgers, at points, because Aaron Rodgers, he's at best when he's throwing, longer passes. Getting big chunks of yards. If you make him earn it throwing 6 yards this time, 4 yards this time, 7 yards this time, you have much better chance of him stymieing that drive. And that's what's going to happen with Mahomes. And Mahomes is a great quarterback, but they're going to make him earn it with short plays, and that's going to be the difference.
I could dig it.
Two more things I want to talk about Bears quick. And I think I was going to talk some little Bulls, but I think we can postpone that till next week. Because there's not going to be much Bulls going on for the next couple of weeks until the draft lottery. But Zach Miller decided to hang it up and is going to retire. I feel like that's the right decision. Is that injury was gruesome.
Oh, it still nauseates me.
I mean, it was absolutely gruesome. And the fact that he had to have so many surgeries to save his leg, I feel like him trying to come back, especially given the injury history he's had in his career, I think the fact that he's able to walk now, you just be grateful for what you have, and you retire from the game.
Yeah, you kind of saw it coming too. You never really. I felt so bad for the guy, but what he went through, it was really hard to see him playing NFL football again. I'm just glad he's healthy.
I mean, it just take what you got, retire, enjoy I think he's got young kids. Just enjoy them, enjoy your family, is move on to the next phase in your life. I would love for him to be like Israel Adonijah, where he's always peripheral around the team. I would love to see Zach Miller talking, pre and post game. I mean, I like him infinitely better than Mongo McMichael talking about the Bears.
Why is that? I'm just kidding.
Like, oh my God, I appreciate what Mongo McMichael means to this organization's history, but I want to put him in a catapult and launch him to the moon.
I didn't know you had such strong feelings. I don't really pay attention to him, so whatever, but yeah.
Oh my God. If you did, you just hear him talk and you just have an aneurysm. He's just annoying. But I would love to hear Zach Miller because I think he brings the positivity. He's closer to the game. There's no crotchetiness. Like I want to hear, when I hear somebody talk about the Bears, like I want to hear, I'm fine if there's constructive criticism or well-deserved criticism, but not everything has to be negative. Not everything has to be about, well, when I played, it was better. I think Zach Miller can give you in-depth and positivity, and I feel like he'd be good. And I would love for him to that be his next phase, is to be around the Bears. You finally got Israel Adonijah, who I love.
I like him too.
He's so well spoken. He's so like earnest. He's just a nice guy. Knows what he's talking about. You like hearing him talk. Spice Adams is amazing.
His personality is fantastic.
Like I want to be best friends with Spice Adams. And you throw Zach Miller in there, and you're like, man, I like what the Bears are putting out as a product on the field, and I like the people talking about them on TV and on the radio. Yeah,
I'm right there with you, because you have guys like Adonijah and Adams, the personalities that they show. That's what I really like. They connect with the fans better.
I don't know. And I don't know if you've ever met Israel Adonijah.
I have not.
He's actually done this podcast.
Can we get him back on?
We can try. He is so nice. He's so nice. He's funny. Like, he's just a genuinely nice guy.
Awesome.
Just a big smile on his face. Really nice guy. Him back. I love talking to him. I will try. I ended up, I think 3 years ago, I had him on, was at C2E2, and he sets up there every year because he owns a comic book company.
That's right. I did hear about that. I think you told me about that, actually.
Yeah. So, so he's a really good guy. I like him a lot. The last thing I want to bring up is draft is this weekend. As of right now, the Bears don't pick until the third round. because, well, we traded up for a wide receiver, and I can't remember what happened to our first round pick. Drawing a blank.
Box of mac and cheese. I wonder if that has any hints.
It's the miggity mac daddy. So what do you see as the Bears' biggest needs going into this draft?
Well, I think pass rush depth would be one thing. Obviously,
I have that as my number two.
I think the line, offensive line, because I still think there's some questions there.
I have that on my list.
I don't know if they're going to address kicker or not. I mean, that's definitely a need, but I don't know if that's necessarily a draft need because you're trying out a number of guys. It's definitely something they're looking for.
I think they'll bring in. Yeah, I think they'll bring in somebody undrafted as the competition, and it's definitely need. But yeah, I don't know if they draft somebody.
Running back. I think they got to find another running back.
Yeah, it's my I have that as my number one.
I heard this the other day on the radio. You think they go after another receiver?
I have that on my list.
Because I could see it.
So they have a lot of very abled guys. Your depth there is quality. You've got a lot of, really, really good wide receivers. And the problem is, that a lot of your guys are not barn burners. Allen Robinson, very, very good wide receiver. And at the end of the season, we really saw what he could do. He's not a barn burner. Taylor Gabriel, very fast guy, but he's also undersized. Anthony Miller, we saw some really good things out of him, and I think the arrow's pointing up on him, but he's also not a barn burner. Javon Wims.
I also have injury concerns with him too.
I'm hoping that surgically repaired shoulder is fine now because it's just keeping it in place. There was no damage per se. Javon Wims, I liked some of the things that we saw from him. I think he's just a bigger body guy, not a speedster. You've got Cordarrelle Patterson, but he's not a guy that you line up all the time. He's going to be your kick returner, and he's going to be a guy that you make packages for. So,
yeah, he's still a guy who I think of as special teams first.
So you have a little bit of speed there, and you've got talent. I think you just need a fast guy. So I think you're going to see them draft a speedster at wide receiver, and I didn't put wide receiver. I put speed at wide receiver because I think that is a need. I don't think it's the highest need, but the way in the position they're picking there is room to get fast wide receivers. I mean, this is the kind of round where you can find wide receivers that are falling a little bit, but are really good, like Juju Smith-Schuster. These are the rounds that you get guys like that in, and they can really be big hits for you.
I agree with all those points. They don't have that just lightning speed guy.
Yeah, and it's weird because, I think Matt Nagy wants more speed, but there's not a lot of balls to be thrown to everybody. So I'm just curious of how they work this, but part of it could be that they scheme their offense a little better, open the playbook a little more, and maybe some of the plays help accentuate some of the speed they have. But I still think speed at wide receiver is a need. I don't know how big of a need.
It'd be nice to have. We'll say that.
The other three positions I have: corner depth, safety depth, and tight end.
Yeah. Yep. Right there with you. Tight end. You don't know what the depth is going to be like. You don't know if Adam Shaheen's going to be healthy or not. And
You don't even know what you're.
is Trey Burton ever going to be the guy who you want him to be?
Yeah, I mean,
I still think he can be, but
we like some of the things we have from Trey Burton, but we also saw some bad things. Shaheen, is he going to become who we thought he was when we drafted him? And then we got Ben Broniker. So there's definitely room. There's definitely room to usurp Ben Broniker, if nothing else. But there is room to somebody to take over that starting spot too. I mean, that's so depending on where they go. So tight end in there. Running back is I think my biggest need. The one good thing is I think TJ Yeldon could be a good fit for this team if they don't draft somebody. And to be honest with you, I think they're going to pick up, a undrafted rookie too. If they don't get somebody early, I think they're going to try to bring in numbers. Maybe bring in Yeldon on a 1-year deal and then have a late round pick and an undrafted rookie and let them duke it out. See what you have there. Speed at wide receiver, offensive line depth is, that could be it. Edge rusher. I just, their depth is not quite there. I mean, you have Leonard Floyd, Khalil Mack, who are your obvious starters. And then you got Isaiah Irving, and they signed Aaron Lynch to a 1-year deal. So that leaves you with Kylie Fitz. So it's not as dire as it once was, but boy, would it be nice to have somebody that could replace either Aaron Lynch or Isaiah Irving.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't really have anything else. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to talk about.
No, I don't really have anything either. I don't even know what to say about the Bulls right now until the lottery. Like, what can we say? That the team at the end of the year was a bunch of G Leaguers, and yeah, so uninteresting.
For me, I was just going to kind of talk about who's on the roster, who's somebody that they, bring back, who's somebody they don't. What's their biggest position of needs? So yeah, I was just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. Yeah, maybe we'll see if your brother can jump on,
Yeah, I've paid so little attention to the Bulls this year. I honestly couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I feel like we need either your brother or Big Dave to come on. And
yeah, they'll know
and school us, because I watch more Bulls basketball this year than I have the last couple of years, but sometimes it was just brutal.
I didn't watch a full game all year. I know that's surprising, but I used to be someone that never missed a Bulls game. I was completely disinterested this year. Especially I wasn't the biggest Hoiberg fan, but under Jim Boylan, just the mess it was, I didn't think it was worth investing my time. I really didn't. And it's sad that it's come to that. As a kid, I never thought I'd say, oh man, I'd never be into the Bulls. I was so into the Bulls as a kid. Even, I don't remember the Jordan era, but heck, my first Bulls memories were like the baby Bulls with Kirk Heinrich and Ben Gordon, and they never contended for a championship, but they were fun as hell. But, and then I loved the Derrick Rose days in his prime when they were legit contenders for a championship. But the last year or so, I've had almost no interest in them. And it's sad. It really is. And I want to be into them again. If they, for some miracle, if they win the draft lottery and they get Zion, I'm watching again. No question, I'm watching again. But with so many injuries to their key guys, Lauri Markkanen's been hurt. Wendell Carter Jr. has been hurt. Zach LaVine has been up and down. Chris Dunn's been hurt, and frankly, I don't think he's that much of a future piece anyway. Do I really want to watch G Leaguers I had no interest. None.
So I just did the sim lottery for Tankathon, and the Bulls got the number 6 pick 4 straight times.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, they'll get the 4th pick where they can't get any of the top 3 guys.
Yeah.
Okay, the 7th pick, 8th pick, number 2. Woo! At least they get Ja.
We're going to come out saying the Blackhawks, who nearly made the playoffs, had a better lottery draft than the Bulls, who have been rebuilding on and off since Jordan left.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, or the TuneIn app. Share with any friends that you have that like Chicago sports. That's how we grow the show. Follow us on social media at ShyFanPat1, at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com. Again, thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, bear down.
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like number New Yorkers. Smoking crack is not legal on planes. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears.
Oh, when the Bears go bearing down